You know how when you are Googling something on your phone, you think, I wonder, I wonder a lot of things. So, and then 2 hours later, you look at the clock and you're like, how did I just spend 2 hours going through all of these things, on Google that I don't even remember the original question I was wondering about? Well, I can do that in prayer, and not in a good way. Not like 2 hours later, I'm like, oh, I just spent 2 wonderful hours with the Lord. No, the way that I spend 2 hours in prayer is worrying to the Lord. And I have a good life. There's no reason that I should be worrying about anything. But it's just a habit. And that I would get in the presence of the Lord. I would want to hear from the Lord. And then there would be 3 ways that I would worry. I would immediately begin to think about my family and everybody in my family and all the things that I, want for them and wish for them and worry about for them. And so I'd start talking to the Lord about those things. And then I would start thinking about my future and Caleb's future and financial, things, and start worrying to God about those things. And then I would start thinking about the conversations I had had with people recently and how did the people perceive that, and did I say something dumb, and so 2 hours later I don't feel any better after spending time with the Lord. So one morning after doing that, or actually before doing that, it was like I was getting into that mode, the Lord interrupted. And he said, would you like to stop doing that? And I was like, yes. Is it possible? And he said, yes, all things are possible with me. He said, would you like to strategize some ways to stop doing that? And I was like, yes, I would. He's like, okay, let's do this together. So he said, okay, number 1, you're worried about your family. Would you like to strategize a way to stop doing that? And I said, yes. He said, well, you have that collage of all your family members on your wall, and every morning when you wake up, you bless them, and every evening when you go to bed, you bless them. He said, I hear those blessings, and I'm answering those. You don't need to talk to me anymore about them. He was like, if there's something specific I want you to pray about, I'll let you know. And I was like, okay. And then he said, the next one where you worry about your future and your finances and everything, he said, what would you like to do about that? And the first thing that popped into my mind was driving through the drive-thru at the bank and putting a deposit in that little vacuum thing, that zooms up into the bank. And I was like, maybe I could just put those worries in there and send them over to you. He goes, yeah, that would be good. He's like, I'm the banker, and I have everything that you've ever needed or ever will need. And I was like, yeah, I know that. And so I was like, I'll just put those worries in there and zoom them over to you and let you take care of them. It's like, that's a good idea. And so then the third one where I start to worry about, how did somebody perceive the way that I, talked with them, what I said? Did I say something dumb? Did I say something that wouldn't honor God or whatever? He's like, God said, who are you? And I said, I'm your beloved. And he said, and where are you? I said, I'm reigning in heavenly places with you. He said, yeah, just remember that. And don't worry about what other people think. And so he gave me those 3 strategies that now I can use those when I start to get into that habit of worrying to God. And I can just stop and just listen to him, which prayer is supposed to be 2-way communication. And it's sort of like, the enemy can use what seems like good things, like interceding for people, to keep you from the best thing, which is really just hearing from him. And so now I'm trying to be a little bit more like Mary and sitting at his feet and not worrying about those things, not spending 2 hours worrying to God. So just wanted to share that with you this morning.